Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and it is polling day. It's finally here. We have, I suppose it depends on what time you're watching this, but the rest of this day to vote and hopefully vote this lunatic out. We'll see what happens, but in this video, what I'd really like to discuss is how yesterday the Prime Minister, who you would think would be going out and about to engage with the people in a last-minute push, was instead hiding in a fridge. Yes, a fridge. Someone asked him a question, he went and hid in a fridge. An actual fridge. But anyway, before that, if you'd like to see more of my videos, then please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, did I tell you the Prime Minister hid in a fridge? He hid in a fridge? I mean, it was a walk-in fridge. It's not. Do you know what it put me in mind when I first saw it? Not saw it, the footage. I saw that later, but saw the story. You know, the film The Joker, where the lead character at one point in the film, when it's all getting a bit much, pulls everything out of his fridge, climbs inside it, shuts the door. But you know, that was a fictional character who was seriously mentally unwell and becoming more and more unwell as the film went on. This is our Prime Minister. And, you know, okay, it's not like, you know, you imagine the fridge would have got a home. It was a walk-in fridge, but he ran specifically to hide in it. And I'll put a link to where you can see the footage down below if you want to watch it yourself. Essentially what happens is, so Good Morning Britain, it's a programme in this country, hosted by, you know, or half hosted by Piers Morgan, right-wing nut job, who was initially making his name in America and Fox News until he got booted out for not quite being right-wing nut job enough. He was foolish enough, stupid enough, can you believe this, to suggest that America might need tighter gun controls. That was his career, and Fox finished. So he came back here again to blight our lives. And yet Boris Johnson won't even answer questions of this right-wing nut job on a sofa. He hides in a fridge to avoid it. One of his aides swears live on TV, the F-bomb, and then tries to keep them away. And why were they asking Boris Johnson these questions? Because he has avoided being interviewed by them. Now, bear this in mind. Not only has Boris Johnson hidden from most of the TV debates, he's also hidden from a number of interviews, quite a lot of interviews. Two notable ones were the Good Morning Britain, which was never going to be a serious interview anyway, and Andrew Neil, which was going to be a more serious interview. But I say those two are notable, and it's for this. Both of them are extremely right-wing. Andrew Neil, for goodness sake, although has the ability to do a good interview, and one of my patrons was insisted, no, he would do a good interview. Well, maybe he would. We don't know. We'll never know now. He, you know, is the chairman of the group that owns The Spectator, which is like Britain's Breitbart. The Spectator is the paper that very recently was urging parents of teenage children to, on polling day, lock their children physically in the room so they can't get out and vote, or drug them. It's very seriously. That's the sort of thing. Andrew Neil, chairman of the group that produces that paper. It's a paper that Boris Johnson worked on as well, when he was laughingly calling himself a journalist at one point. And, you know, so Boris Johnson won't even be interviewed by people who are very, very right-wing. And so he hides. And he's also hidden from his own hustings. So hustings, for those who aren't away from another country. So the candidates are expected during the general election campaign to attend various meetings so that members of the public can go along and ask them questions and listen to what they have to say in person. It's all very well doing things on the telly. That's for the whole country. That's really the national party projecting its message. No, we don't really vote for a party. Many people base their decision on the party, myself included. But we're not actually voting for a party. We're voting for a candidate, and we expect those candidates to account for themselves. Boris Johnson refused to attend his own hustings. He refused to actually talk to his own constituents. He wasn't the only one as well. You know, Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, also chose not to. And possibly because she didn't fancy a dose of what Dominic Raab, the Foreign Secretary, got, he did attend his own hustings and probably regrets it to this day. He is in a constituency where he could easily lose his seat. And he made a right dog's dinner of his hustings, as have a number of Conservative MPs. There was one, I saw some footage going out. It was absolutely hilarious. This is a classic case. Now, at a hustings, fair enough, the people that are going to be there at that meeting are not going to be representative of the whole constituency. You are taught, the people who attend these are the most serious, politically minded people. And they, if we're going to be honest, are unlikely, although it's not impossible, but they're unlikely to be swing voters. They're much more likely to be people who know who they're going to vote for. They're just going along to give a particular candidate a boost or another particular candidate a hard time. But if you're going to say something, if you're going to do any audience engagement, gauge the audience. A Conservative candidate was saying to her hustings, "You don't want Jeremy Corbyn as Prime Minister, do you?" And they all basically replied, "Yeah, yeah, we do." Well, and that's another thing. I mean, the Boris Johnson not getting out and about. See, that did for Theresa May. I'm actually genuinely flabbergasted that it's working for Boris Johnson hiding away from people, because it's what did for Theresa May. But the problem is that Theresa May has no charisma, so you can't project any charisma widespread. She may be fine on an individual basis. People say she is, I don't know. What I do know is she doesn't have that charisma that can come across through a television screen. Boris Johnson does, with these very simplistic messages that people will imagine to mean all sorts of things apart from what they actually mean. So that's why he's getting away with it. But he is hiding from everyone. He's not wanting to say a thing. And given that the only thing he ever does say is get Brexit done, even when he's delivering milk. And speaking of which, let's get on to this one as well. So Boris Johnson yesterday, what caused this is he was out delivering milk. And he was supposed to be sort of like, delivering it to the people and, like an impromptu door, to show that he's going door to door type thing to talk to voters. But it wasn't. It was totally staged. How do we know it was staged? Well, what would you do if, you answer the door to what's supposed to be a milkman? And actually, now that I think about it, that is not even how it works. It's been so long since I've got my milk when I need it at all from the supermarket. I'd almost forgotten how a milk delivery works. But actually, I do remember... the milkman doesn't knock on the door. They put the milk wherever they're supposed to put it, usually in a little rack thing, and then bugger off to the next house. They're not getting you up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. So he didn't even get that bit right, did he? But anyway, knocks on the door, the woman there. It's like, oh my God, it's the Prime Minister. I never expected this. No, that's not her reaction. Her reaction was, I didn't expect to see so many of you. Yeah, kind of. So the least surprising thing about the encounter for this woman was that it was the Prime Minister handing her the milk. That was not a surprise at all. What was a surprise is his entourage. Sort of giving the game away. And a number of Conservative candidates have been caught out staging so-called interactions with constituents as well. And the reason is this, if you look at it, whenever you've actually looked at genuine reports of Boris Johnson going out and about, he's been heckled everywhere. Everywhere. He's had people, members of the public, having a go at him. Now, I'll say this. Obviously, we sort of know, generally speaking, Jeremy Corbyn is more unpopular around the country. But you can say this from at least his supporters actually support him. Because whenever Jeremy Corbyn goes, and he made a bit of a dig yesterday when he went out, says, I'm not hiding in a fridge. And he's not. There's lots of well-wishers that go and listen to him talk and give him that boost. Wherever he goes, he's always guaranteed a load of people to turn out and give him that boost. So, the country at large may not think he's brilliant, but his own supporters at least do. This just highlights even Boris Johnson's own supporters, even the ones who will go and vote for the Conservatives based on what he's saying. So they sort of support what he's saying. They don't want to go and support him. He doesn't get that sort of reception. He gets a very hostile reception wherever he goes. And it's actually quite maddening. It's almost like you can't work out why it is that Boris Johnson somehow is going to be popular enough maybe to grab a load of votes. And Jeremy Corbyn, not so many. We'll have to hope that ends up being wrong. Or we'll find out tomorrow, won't we? But how can we seriously vote for a party that will put as Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who has hidden from as many engagements as possible, talking to the public, explaining to the public his policies. This is a man that we need to stand up for Britain's interests against powerful nations and now powerful trading blocs, because apparently we're expecting him to stand up for our rights against the EU, the most powerful trading bloc in the world, which we're not going to be a member of if he gets his way in just over a month's time. He can't even stand up to Piers Morgan through a camera. Piers Morgan wasn't even there in the flesh. Just a camera guy and a producer or reporter or something. And he ran away. And I don't know whether I told you this part. He hid in a fridge. Just ran away. And, you know, he couldn't even turn round and say, I'm terribly sorry, but the working people of this area need their milk and I am delivering the milk to them. That would have been easy. He wouldn't have had to say anything. He'd still get slated, but at the same time, you're not exactly going to get a pass by hiding in a fridge. He didn't even have the ability to think, no, I can do this. I'm delivering milk. I'll just have to ignore them. I mean, plenty of politicians can do that. How can we vote for this person? How can anyone vote for the party that decides that this person should be our Prime Minister? Absolute maddening. But anyway, in case I haven't asked already, make sure you get out and vote today if you have not already. And if you know of others who haven't, get them out for goodness sake. For the love of puppies. Because otherwise, tomorrow when I have to do the videos, I'm going to be very upset. I really don't like being upset. It upsets me. So thanks for watching. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, then also please click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.